Welcome back. We continue our conversation about how important it is for you to get support, know what it's available to you when it comes down to mental health, but knowing also what it really looks like and how different it is for all of us. So for those of you who are at home feeling, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel, or going, no, that's not how I felt, you're still okay. So stay with us. We continue to have this conversation with Jeshua Alexandar, who's the author of Healing Schizoaffective. Buy the book, buy the book, buy the book, buy the book. Trust me, it's such an easy read, and you're going to feel like you're actually walking with him and probably identifying with a lot of his journey. So, Jeshua, we want to strip down a little bit of what a bad day looks like for you. So I'll start. For me, it was, like I said to you on the break, it was literally having, so the sun would come up, right? And I would see the sun come through the shades. Now I'm like excited when that happens. At that time, it was like, oh my God, another day. I gotta get up. I can't. I don't want to. And when is the night coming? So tell me about.
Yeah, I mean, I had similar days like that when I had the depression after a psychotic episode, and I would have something called a post-psychotic depression, and it was so bad that there was 1 month, I believe, after I was first diagnosed, that I would just stay in bed like the whole month, and I just wanted to sleep. I didn't even want to wake up. I didn't want to be.
Could you sleep?
Sometimes I would fall in and out of sleep, or I would just be laying there like in agony, in pain, like physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, and the time would drag on, and I just wanted time to pass. I didn't want to be awake. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Are you at this time, and I always start with I always say that to people because I'm coming from that place, and I am as intrigued as others are. Because sometimes we want to find, as Lisa Nichols would say, your tribe. And I don't think broken needs to walk with broken, but healing should walk with healing, right? So I have a lot to learn, and I know the audience does too, about what does it look like. So a bad day, now I'm a female, you're a male, and we have these things already in common about our conditions, you know, not knowing what's going to happen, how quickly it's going to happen, not being able to function. Do you find, I get this question a lot, is it harder, and from providers at times, is it harder for someone who was in the work market, had a full-time job, had society by the horns, as they say, versus someone who did not have those things? My answer is no.
Yeah, I don't think you can really compare people's journeys. I mean, some people, you know, I had a friend who rolled his ankle, and he was out of, you know, he was bedridden for 2 weeks, and it was such an intense experience for him that he literally, like, he was working at a grocery store, and he decided to, like, go to grad school and pursue, like, a health career. Like, it was like a life-changing event for him.
Wow, in 2 weeks?
Yeah, and that's amazing.
2 weeks.
For me, it was 10 years of agony, and I mean, everyone's journey is so different. I don't think you can compare, really. I mean, pain is pain, you know.
And we must honor it. But you're talking about 10 years.
It was a long time, yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
10 years. And you're so young, too. So are you looking at your colleagues and going, they're moving forward? We talked a little bit about this, and I'm not moving forward. Whatever forward means.
Yeah, and that, I think, aside from the physical pain and the fear and all that stuff, the sense of loss, like we mentioned as well, the ego, that's like some of the most painful stuff, because, you know, I remember there was one time when I couldn't get out of bed, and I was like, if I could only just go for a 5-minute walk a day, like that was my goal. Every day, try to get outside and walk for 5 minutes. Not run for an hour or run a marathon or anything, like just literally walk for 5 minutes as someone in my early 20s. So it's so humbling to go through that. Looking back, I think much of the pain was like ego death pain, just the ego getting crushed.
Tell me about that.
It's painful. It feels like death. It's your sense of identity is just is destroyed, and I don't know. I didn't even know how to explain it.
Stripping. That's all I can think of. You know, when people are stripping paint,
Yeah.
and there's layers and layers. Well, I have an old house, so there's layers and layers that people painted before me. But you're so right about the ego, because I used to identify. I thought I was someone because of what I did for work, how I saw myself, you know, independent woman, and here I was in the care full time of my angel mother and my amazing husband, like literally in their hands.
Yeah. So, and I think the ego pain is part of the challenge. So looking back where I am today, I could think, oh well, maybe it's not as bad as it seemed. Going through it was like the worst thing in the world.
Oh my God, yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, well, I don't know. Like
Really?
I could, like if I were to face some of the things now that I faced, it wouldn't be as difficult because
Wow.
Obviously because I've already been through it, so I understand it better, and I don't have the fear, and the ego crushing is really.
But I know people are falling 50 times and still don't have any idea where they've fallen. So the fact that you're able to do that, that's like incredible.
Well, I fell 50 times. I mean, over the 10 years.
I'm not going to compete with you, but I got 100. I think.
but my point is, you get to a point where it loses its power over you. And I said this.
Wait, I like that.
Yeah.
It loses its power over you.
Yeah.
I hope you're taking notes at home. Put that on your fridge. Put that, use it as a mantra. You do now. You know what I used to do?
What?
I used to call it the monster. Okay? Now it looks more like, you know, this little thing that bugs me. Those little things that you put on your car that go like this, you know, little wobble bobbles or something like that. Now that's what it looks like. But it used to be 6 feet, 300 pounds, monster, and I used to talk to it. I used to say, you're not getting me today. Like I used to self-coach. But I think it's wonderful because that's how I felt. I felt that it was big and that it had a lot of power.
Yeah. And the fear is so, like I had intense anxiety as well. On certain medications, I would get actually more anxious. And the fear is so penetrating, just like paralyzing fear to my core for so long. And like you get to a point where it's so exhausting that you can't feel the fear anymore.
I don't know.
Because you're just too tired to feel the fear, and it like I said, it loses power over you in a sense.
I love that. It loses power.
Like I'm all feared out.
Are you?
I'm serious. Like I had so much fear for so many years that it's like I'm all feared out. Like I don't have the strength to feel fear anymore. You know, in many ways. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't have fears, but I'm saying like in that respect, it was so. The fear gets burned out of you in a sense.
You're exhausted. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I felt at times where I like, bring it. What's the worst thing that can happen? But that didn't happen for me for a long time.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, you were healing, you're in this process. What's your circle like? Do you share with your circle, hey, I've seen some progress? Or do you say, I'm going to keep this one to myself because I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like? Do you feel any pressure from the people who love you or your circle?
When I'm going through it?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't really. I mean, my family wanted me to get better, so they'd say like these encouraging words, like, you know, oh, this year is going to be your year.
Oh, and that's like, in your book. I know.
And it's like, I would love that. That'd be amazing. But you know, oftentimes it wasn't my year. Yeah. And you know, eventually it was. But it's just such a painful process. I mean, I didn't feel like I had to get better for other people, but
you did. See, I love that about you. That the fact that you say no more fear when it comes down to this monster. You call it whatever you want. Mine was a monster. I didn't feel like I had to please, and I didn't feel like I had to get better for them.
Yeah. So
wow. So your self-esteem was pretty good prior to.
I don't know if it's self-esteem or just. I don't know.
Dude, your shoes are big.
It's not, I don't know that it was self-esteem though, or if it was just like not caring. Like I'm not saying it was I'm not saying it was like a positive quality in a sense.
Oh, you didn't.
Like I didn't, the only thing, I didn't want to cause pain to my family, and I didn't want to be a bad example for my younger brother, but I didn't feel like I had to get better for them. What actually eventually motivated me to keep moving forward on my healing journey, though, is other people. So it is.
Wow.
What gives me the strength to keep moving forward and forge ahead is wanting to give to others and help others and serve others. So that actually has become my motivation. But it wasn't like an expectation when I was sick that I had to do it for. Does that make sense? It sounds like it's contradictory.
No, it absolutely makes sense. No. I think it absolutely makes sense because the journey is different for all of us.
Yeah.
And the fact that, so see, here's my filter. This is why it's so important that we talk to one another, because we make assumptions all the time. So you say, I didn't want to get, I didn't need to get better for them. That was not like, and I'm thinking, what? Yay! It was all about, and you're saying, wait, this is not necessarily a positive.
Yeah.
But through my filter, that's why we have to have this. Through my filter, I was like, dude, that's so great, because I felt so much pressure. I wanted to get so much better for them, because every time I looked at my husband's eyes, or, I'd
So but that's different. I mean, now that I have a wife, I probably would for her. Like I do, there are days I feel crappy and I fight harder for her. But
wait,
when I was younger, I mean, I went through this in my 20s, so I was younger and.
I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, from my perspective, I was just starting my life, and I deserved a life. I was, I was a young adult, so maybe I was a little more self-focused earlier on, but now things have shifted where I get up every day and I live for others. So it's really been a process.
I love that. I think it's beautiful when you say, if I'm having a hard day or hard times, you want to get better or live through that day to the best of your ability because of your loved one, because of your wife. I think that's so powerful.
My wife, and also people in the world. Like I think about people who don't have food, people who are suffering with mental illness, all the suffering in the world, and every single day I fight harder because of it. I get on my yoga mat if I'm tired, if I'm uncomfortable, and I do it because the healthier I am, the stronger I am, the more I'm able to give. And that's really has become my main focus in life, and I have to thank my illness for that, because it's been a tremendous blessing.
So do you feel that because, at least that's what I'm hearing, but correct me if I'm wrong, because this is a conversation. Do you feel that because you are doing well, you're able to deposit in the bank of life more? Give more? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I call a deposit. I want to deposit in the bank of life. I tell people all the time.
And that, honestly, that's the greatest blessing. It really, anyone, I don't know. I just wish I could convey that, the fulfillment and joy that comes from giving.
Well, your entire face is saying it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, indulging to me and self-gratification is such a small compromise to giving, and that it's such a joy, and that's what I live for. So.
And the work that you're doing, because I was complimenting you, and you're like, oh, okay, and I told you about your website and how serene and how cool it is, easy to navigate, different topics in your podcast. I mean, all this stuff is there to grab and to listen wherever you want. And so you are already putting that energy out there in the world. Is there anything anybody who's heard your stuff has said to you that you go, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, because you felt like, yep, I'm doing the right thing.
There are times when I've wondered, because we don't always get the feedback or the validation. So there are times I've wondered, like, is it even helping anyone? You know. So then when I do get
Help me.
yeah. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, like it's doing good, but that's
How does
not.
that feel physically?
But that's not, for me. That's not. It feels good, but that's not where the joy comes from. The
Tell me
joy
where the
comes
joy-
from the act of giving.
Okay.
And then when you get, for me, when I get the validation, it's just confirmation, okay, it's doing something.
Okay, so let's run
So-
by that because I think that's really good.
Okay.
So you give,
hmm
okay, and that's your real joy.
That's what feels fulfilling to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's when your heart goes,
It feels
okay,
right.
okay,
It feels right.
warm,
Yeah.
warm and fuzzy, right?
Mhm.
And then when somebody comes back and says, that really helped me, is kind of the checkbox of yes.
For me, yeah, it's kind of validation. Yeah. It's
Okay.
like, okay. It's
I'm
like,
putting more ego in it than you are.
Well,
But-
I do, yeah, I do questions because it's we don't always know the effect we're having. That's the
No,
thing. You
no.
know, even someone cuts me off in traffic and I start to feel like
Yeah.
anger, and I try to be forgiving and heal that moment, right? That
Yeah.
feeling. I don't know what effect that's having, but I feel like it's having a positive effect. You know what I mean?
Yes, because when I was in my 20s, I understood advocacy before I met this wonderful woman who's become my mentor forever, Ann Stanback, as this. Bring it. And the more I was under her leadership, I learned that compassion and kindness, and that this voice is a lot more than this voice over here. And I didn't know, didn't understand at such a young age what I was putting out in the world and what the universe was going to reply to me. And I have found that the more I practice that, the more I feel calm and okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily it was correct, it was right, because I think that's the other thing that people forget. Just because you say to someone, yeah, I forgive that, it's okay, doesn't mean that you're necessarily that magical that, I don't know about you, but I'm not, that magical that you just put it in this drawer and throw it away or put it in the fire. It takes me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes me a little bit.
I'm mostly talking about like strangers and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
It's
talking
a lot
about.
harder with family because
Yeah?
it
Because of
touches
the relationship, right?
yeah, it touches a deeper nerve, and I mean I still think we should be forgiving and kind and loving, but it's hard. Like for me, it's easier if someone is rude to me that I don't know. It's much easier to be forgiving than if it's a family, a family member or whatnot. So.
But your transparency is, I think, what's going to be so beneficial to anybody that interacts with you, reads your book, listens to your podcast, or I'm going to have 2 events, and I've already tied you in into bringing your book and having people meet you, because I think that the ability that you have to separate all of these things, I don't think I've mastered that yet. You have the ability to say, okay, this emotion versus that emotion.
You know, I do a lot of work trying to keep my ego at bay, and you're not helping. You're inflating it. No, I'm just.
Sorry,
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
I'm only saying
I'm
what
not,
I see.
I'm not a master, honestly. Honestly, it was survivalism.
Wait, I'm not apologizing for my emotions.
No, that's okay. But honestly, for me, like I wish I could say it was all altruistic throughout the whole thing, and a lot of it, I think I did have good intentions, but it was also survivalism. Like it was literally like I was just struggling to survive. So I can't really claim responsibility for all that. Like the illness taught me these things, and it's a practice, and I do it every day.
One must be a student.
Yeah.
So you have to be open to being a student.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us go through experiences, and I include myself, and it's 9 to 10 or 15 years that I go, oh, that was the lesson.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
But I had like a crash course. Like if you take like 50 years of life and you squish it into 10 years, it was like a crash course. Like it was intense. So I think we all do the best we can, and it's a daily practice. Like if I stopped my daily meditation, I'd be a lot more reactive. So it's not something. It's only because I spend those
Listen to your terms. I'd be more reactive. See, we got to learn a lot from you. My term would have been, I'd be more pissed off.
Yeah.
I love that. I'd be
But
more
it's
reactive.
it's hours on the medication cushion. It's not me. It's not that I have something that someone else doesn't. It's I have hours on the cushion. That's what I have.
So help
Yeah.
us out with meditation, because
Mm-hmm.
lots of us, see, I had to learn that meditation was not
Mm-hmm.
because I now use it as
Mhm.
well. And everybody's at a different level and understands it different. So is meditation, in your opinion, one of those where your mind totally is quiet?
Mm-mm. No.
See? Tell us
No.
about that, because I think most of us, just like I did, I thought, oh God, no, I can't quiet my mind to
I don't
that
think
level.
anyone can. No.
Really? Okay.
The mind thinks. That's what it does.
Yeah.
For me, I just practice a basic awareness-based meditation where I sit, I maintain awareness of my breath, and when I notice if if I start to go off into story thinking about something, I just bring my awareness back to my breath and my hands. Like I'll hold my hands like this, and I bring my awareness back to my breath and my hands. And it's just a constant reminding until the timer goes off. So I set a timer.
Oh, you set a timer?
Yeah.
How long
yeah.
is that timer for?
I usually do 20 minutes twice a day, but sometimes I'll do 10, sometimes I'll do 30. You know.
That sounds like a short period, but let
Yeah.
me just tell you, if you're at
Mhm.
home and you've never meditated, or you have and you struggled
Mhm.
like I have,
Mhm.
because it's a really, really good practice for me.
Mhm.
So one of my producers, Tomasa, I'll throw her out there,
Mhm.
she'll sometimes say to me, oh my God, you drive me crazy, because I'll
Mhm.
go, well, let's think about this. How
Mhm.
do we want to react? She's like, ah, you drive me
Mhm.
crazy. But I was her
Mhm.
20 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I need her energy, because
Mhm.
she also gives me balance.
Mhm.
Because when I go on to this, let's all be in the beach and sing Kumbaya, she's like,
Mhm.
okay, let's come a little bit closer.
Mhm.
So she gives me great balance. So I think
Yeah.
meditation sometimes, I did too. I
Yeah.
thought, oh, there's no way. But
Yeah.
20 minutes, if
Well,
you don't have a practice, can feel like 2
Oh,
hours.
no, you can't even sit that long if you don't have a practice.
No,
I
I used
started
to, like-
I started with 5 minutes for a few months. So I actually wasn't able to meditate when I was sick, so we should talk
No.
about that.
Nope, nor did I.
But just a couple years ago, I started doing it daily, and I started with 5 minutes for a few months, and I upped it to 10, then 15, then 20 over like a year period.
Do you
So-
keep a journal?
I don't.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Wow.
That'd be nice. I've thought about journaling sometimes, but I
Yeah.
haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you make mental notes of things that happen to you that you may want to throw out in the world in your podcast or in the next future book that I see coming?
So there are things ideas I have that I'd like to do down the road, but I really try to live every day in real time. Like if you were on like live TV,
Yeah.
like it's real time. So I
Can't take it back.
do the podcast when I feel inspired, and I record it. I don't even edit it. Like I record it in one sitting, and then I publish. I hit publish. So
you're not as concerned about judgment.
well, I do it when it feels right. Like if I was doing it, if I was forcing myself to do it for some reason,
Yeah.
and then it wouldn't be right.
Yeah.
But because I do it when it feels right, it is right. So
So much teaching in that. So much teaching.
But
So-
I every day, like it's a daily thing throughout my day. I'm constantly in the practice. So, but when I was sick, I couldn't sit. I felt so dull in my head from the medication. I couldn't meditate. So I mentioned in the book there are other ways to get present and have those benefits, and nature is one of them. Is an amazing.
There's something about nature.
Nature
I
is
agree.
so healing.
I
you know,
agree.
Listening to birds chirp or bees buzzing or walking and hearing the leaves rustling, it's so healing. And I think not just people who are sick, but anyone in our
anybody,
society
yeah.
could benefit from being in nature
Yeah.
more.
Well, I happen to share in my office with Tomasa, and she loves every animal in the world. And I never knew how many animals we had in the world, but she knows them all. But there is different way that we interact with nature. Like I'm amazed every time I go for a walk and feel the breeze and think, thank you, God, I'm alive. Or I could see the colors, because
Yeah.
after beating this monster, as I call it, after finding myself in recovery, and I hope I will eventually use the word healing, but I'll admit to you that I'm not there yet.
That's okay.
No, this is good company
Yeah.
for me, so this is something for me to work on. I could not see all the beauty in the world.
Yeah.
Now I can look at your hands, look at people's hair, and not in a judgment. I'm like, oh, what color is his hair? Really, what color is his eyes? I don't remember what. So now I'm actually seeing the world like a child.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
And for me, meditation has helped me to do that.
Wow.
So.
How do you see yourself? And I know you live in the present, but I think it's okay to dream, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what do you see yourself doing in 5 years in this world of ours, that you have a bank, I have a bank. It's the mental health bank. And we're going to make some changes and impact. What do you see happening in 5 years?
Well,
we can go in so many directions.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to keep moving forward on my healing journey, and I want to keep advocating for mental health, help people who are suffering, and I want to share the tools that have worked for me. So I don't really plan my life like that, so I don't really know, but
with all the due respect, brother, I need a lot of learning to do because I plan everything.
I mean,
I'm less planner than I used to be, although some people that know me would go, whatever, she's lying.
I figure if I do the best I can today, I can't do better than my best, right? So if I do the best I can today, all day, every day, then tomorrow, I can't worry about tomorrow because it'll work out. You know what I mean?
I remember someone saying to me, everybody has 24 hours, Lydia. You have 24 hours, I have 24 hours. And again, these are things that you hear when you're very ill. And so to me I'm wasting my 24 hours because I won't get them back. And I think it was someone who probably was in similar place as yours. They were healing. And so they were asking me to slow down. And I wanted to race as fast as I could.
It's not wasted. Nothing we go through is wasted. So the experience of suffering during the illness, that was, looking back, it was strength training. You know, like I had to work, as a stock clerk, right? Which my ego didn't like because I was a college graduate. But I'm stocking shelves, and it was humbling, right? It taught me humility. It taught me focus, determination. It was strength training. Every day I went in and I did that. It teaches us things that.
Did you have to learn how to trust yourself again?
I had to learn to trust life again. I felt like life let me down big time. Yeah. So, yeah, I felt kind of heartbroken or kind of.
Yeah, you went there right now.
It's like soul shattering, these types of illnesses. So I had to trust life again, and
I can so much identify with that. I am really hoping that with our conversations, more people will find out about what you want to put out in the universe, what you're already putting out. And for so many men that I speak to and bump into and somehow, some way interact, my friend, my brothers, it's okay to talk about your struggles. And it doesn't have to be a man, it doesn't have to be a woman. Find someone you connect with at something. Maybe meditation, maybe music, maybe both, maybe reading Jeshua Alexandar book to begin with hope, because I think that's the most difficult thing for me. It was finding who has it, who has hope, because I've lost mine completely. Close the door, I'm going away. I'm not sure in what direction, but I'm going away. And I think that's what you probably are right now in the middle of the ocean saying, hey, you won't say it because you're not ego-driven, but I will say it because I've already decided that I'm going to say it, right? But I think it's important for our brothers who are out there who what I hear from men, and this is from different walks of life, is that there are certain expectations of me. And I always try to fit in their shoes, but obviously I'm not a male, so I don't know exactly what that means. And that may be a positive or a negative, I'm not sure, but I think that it would be a great opportunity for men to listen to your podcast and not to feel that they're weak.
Not at all. It takes a lot of courage to go through something like that.
I think it's important, the work that you do. I think it's important for people to celebrate the good things. You're a married man. You're happy. You have someone who loves you. You have somewhat, whatever the word normal. I shy away from the word normal because I think we could share common realities, you know, like these are books, that's a table, whatever. But your definition of what normal may be and mine may be different, you know, because my day may be different to yours.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we look at things and go, oh, that's not normal. But if you walk in that person's shoes, you go, oh, that is your normal. That's what your normal looks like. So I think it's important for women, but I'm always concerned that men, and I hear it all the time, are not able to come out and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. And I think a lot of the violence that we see in this country is because we're all misunderstood at some level.
Yeah. I mean, life teaches us what we need to know, and I think we have the resources for our unique condition. I mean, it seems like we don't have the resources, but we have the environment that is perfectly suited to us to learn what we have to learn and to grow and to move forward, I believe.
What is your goal, your happy place? Where do you go? We all have a happy place, right? Do you have a happy place? I have a happy place.
I don't know about a happy place. I mean, I love going home after like a long day, but
I have a happy place. My happy place is always being in my husband's arms and looking around and going, we're okay, you know. And there's additions to that. I hear my mother's voice. I hear my father tell me a story of, you know, when he was coming up, because it's a different generation. So I have many places I can go to. But one of my favorite places is just being. And I had to learn that.
Yeah. And I think that's hard when you're suffering, because if you're in pain, you don't want to just like be in that pain, right? So I think it is important to think about times in life where we were happy and reflect on that and like feel that and go back to that, and then to think about the future and what we want someday. Like when I was sick, I thought about like I wanted a relationship, I wanted a home, I wanted a career that I enjoyed. So that is important. It's definitely important as well. So.
What is the one? Do you have a mantra?
I mean, like I said, I pretty much every waking hour am focused on.
And I keep pushing you.
No, I mean it's hard. I don't think most. I don't know. I mean, I literally, like, as often as I remember, I'm focused on like how can I serve in this moment, and I just constantly throughout the day am reminding myself like how can I serve the highest good? How can I serve the highest good? All day, every day. So that's what I live for and what brings me fulfillment and what I keep coming back to.
What do you hope people say about you when the universe calls you?
When I'm done here, like when I'm gone, I just want to know that I don't want to think that there was someone who went hungry because I didn't
see them.
Because I didn't like that's how I make decisions. Like if I'm going to have a big ice cream sundae one night, right? And I'm like, all right, should I have this ice cream sundae? I'm like, well, if I have this and I have lower energy tomorrow, and I might not help someone as much as I could.
Because of the sugar?
Because
of how your body feels?
Yeah, like if I feel sluggish tomorrow, low energy.
That's discipline.
But it's not, because that's what makes me happy. Like the ice cream, the feeling from the ice cream is fleeting and doesn't make me happy.
Okay.
But what makes me happy is feeling every moment that I'm giving as much as I can. So I literally filter.
I have a lot to learn because you show me the ice cream and I'm having the ice cream.
I
Stop by my house and just drop the ice cream.
I'm not saying
That's
I'm
discipline,
not
though.
saying everyone should be like this. Like this
No.
is I'm a little. I think I'm like this because of what I've been through, because it was
Yeah.
such a traumatic experience,
Yeah.
and I suffered so much that I can't bear to think of all the people that are suffering in the world like
So you
that.
don't want to be part of that.
I want to know that when I after my last breath is let out, I want to know that I helped everyone that was humanly possible for me to help in every way possible that I could. And that's really my life mission at this point. So.
Do you think that the universe introduces you to where you should be, who you should be with? Do you think it happens?
I
Right.
just, whatever my environment I'm in, that's my stage. You know, like that's what I'm working with. I don't really think about,
Wow,
you know.
that's incredible.
It's not, like to me, I don't theorize about it. It's like, it's a practice, like it's an experiential practice.
So you are at the bank. Let me put you in a situation.
Mhm.
You are at the bank.
Yep.
Okay, you're there because, I don't know, you and your wife are going away.
Okay.
And you need these, what do they call them, traveler checks. Do they still
Okay.
use those?
I've never used those. I need to take some money out of the bank. Okay. Yeah.
How old am I? He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So you're at the bank, you're in a
Mhm.
long line.
Yeah.
What's your head doing with that moment? It's because you want to stay present, right?
I'm probably feeling tense because I get tense around groups of people.
Do you?
When I'm out, like at a store, I get tense. So I'm probably just focusing on my breathing. If I notice that I have like a judgmental thought about someone, I try to change my thinking. So I'm trying to. I don't know.
I like that you say, I don't know. Because I think that if we learned how to say, I don't know,
Mhm.
more often,
Mhm.
we would learn a lot more. Because I think we're all so interested in being experts
Yeah.
that it does not always allow for that room for us to have this conversation and saying, you know, Josh, I was at Stop and Shop and this
Mhm.
thing drove me crazy and blah, 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 and just having that moment.
That happened to me today. So I was at the self-checkout at Stop and Shop. And
You do self-checkout?
I do.
I'm mad at you now.
Why? Do you know someone who has a job as a cashier?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Oh, our first fight, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
We'll have many of
I'm
those.
trying to rush out of there as
Yeah.
quickly as possible because I get uncomfortable in big box stores. But I put the thing on the belt, and then it did that thing where it like put it back towards me, and it started flashing, and there was no one around, and like I'm trying to get out of the store because I'm feeling uncomfortable, and I'm like.
And now you got this thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, where, like, is there anyone here? Like, what do I do? And I'm like, I'm in that uncomfortable position. So I just practice being present and breathing and, like, wait. I don't know. I just wait. I wait for an insight or an intuitive feeling or some.
Are you exhausted after an experience like that? Because that is the environment that makes you tense. Like, we all have some place that, for me, is when I watch people being treated with the most disdain and, you know, like they're not equals to whatever service there is. So it's very painful for me. And so I have to do this whole thing about, okay, Lydia, breathe, breathe. Because I immediately want to grab your hand and say, Josh, I got you. And that's not appropriate. And, you know, because then I'd be in charge of I don't know what, and I'd get nothing done in there in the day. So it's very difficult. It tightens my chest. I start sweating, you know, like literally. It's very difficult for me. But it's draining. So I get out of there and I'm drained.
Yeah, I mean, there are situations that tire me more than others, but, you know, through my daily routine, I do what I need to do to rest and to eat the healthy foods and you know, I pack snacks for when we'd be out, and you know, I just kind of manage my energy level just like everyone has to. I mean, I think the problem is in our society is that most people aren't managing their energy levels, and they're just on burnout, and they're just like going as fast and hard as they can, and they're just like that's a state of reactivity. They're just like,
No, I like
you know,
that.
give me
Yeah, that's true.
coffee, give me a snack. I got to do this, and they're just on burnout like every day. And I was burnt out from college and then from the illness. So I'm like now at this point in my life, I'm really trying to have balance and manage my day to day. You know.
Yeah, they're giving
so,
us a cue. You better say it
yeah.
out loud. See, we're a family here because I can't see it. See, they're giving us a cue
You said
about
5
wrapping
minutes.
up.
Yeah.
Just a little short lady I love. One of our producers.
Mhm.
Josh, we have 5 minutes, and that on TV seems like a lot, but when you and I speak, I don't know about you, but I feel like I just want to continue
Yeah.
to talk to you because if you're at home, you can see how imperfect I am, and I'm okay with that as long as I get to grow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so I like the Lydia now. I can only dream of the Lydia from 5 or 10 years from now. You know, I always tease that I want to become Lily Tomlin because I hear her in interviews and she's so calm and hey, I don't care. I don't care. So I'm like, oh, I wanted to grow up to be that. You know, a lot of I don't care. Although I've learned that. You know, as you enter in a new stage of your life. I mean, this is 10 years. You know how. You have a lot of knowledge now. You've written a book. If I have anything to say about it, it's going to be going places because I think it's so valuable to the world. I mean, because you give a true picture of what it's like. There is no, again, there's those 3 things in there. No blaming, no shaming, and you do a great job at saying, you know, healing is possible. But you're not forceful about it. So none of your opinions, and I think this is delicious to me when I share this with people, and I use the word delicious because it touches me so much, like when I'm eating ice cream, that we find our way, whatever way we find, and then we think that is the way. And I think when I talk to you, what I'm hearing, which is a lot of what I say sometimes, is like, wow, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Or I might want to talk to Joshua about that.
Yeah.
Or what's that snack packing look like? You know, like, because sugar levels, your nutrition, I mean, like, there's so much to talk about because that has so much to do with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we have to do the work on ourselves.
Yes.
Because otherwise, we don't necessarily know what's going to help people. You know, like I know from my own experience what helped me, and I've done the work. I've been through the suffering. I've grown from it. So then I can be discerning about what's going to be helpful for others. But someone who hasn't been through that or hasn't really done the work on themselves to really be able to distinguish between what's ego and what's real pure truth.
We have to do a show on that because finding out, I'm reading right now, The Course of Miracles. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm at the beginning stages, and I'm going back to reading because I grew up, love you, Mommy, and Daddy, I grew up with my belief was that God was going to punish me. And so there was, in my understanding, less love, and everything was kind of punitive. And with the Course of Miracles and meeting other people, I've learned that the God that loves me, it's amazing.
I actually have the opposite perspective on that. If you're
Really?
talking about like sin, God punishing for sin, what I think is sin enslaves us, as I'm sure any addict can testify to, and God wants to free us from that because He loves us. So I see it as the opposite.
Now, I can agree with you. When I was coming up, if you and I were at the playground, and let's say you threw a rock, you know, I'd be like, oh my God, God is watching you, and He's going to take a note of that, and oh my God, we're going to have that on the books forever.
But then you're judging that person which is what our society to a large extent does all the time.
But I don't want to go to hell with you, so I was worried about that too.
but that's the thing. We come from the place we're at, which is why we really have to do the work ourselves.
I think that's so true, because when I was a little girl, that's truly what I believed.
Yeah.
So I was not necessarily doing things from the place of intention and love or whatever, but it was kind of fear almost. And through this journey about being ill and being rich in health, I've learned that that's not the place of faith for me.
Yeah. Well, we're taught when we're kids, we're taught to think the way our parents did, and then when we grow up, we have to, we learn to kind of to think on our own and break out of that way of thinking if we want to, if we do. So.
Well, hopefully we can continue this relationship, and then I'm going to have you meet my mother, who's in Puerto Rico, so maybe your wife and you could take a trip over there.
Yeah.
And then my father, who's here in Connecticut. Okay, and they're totally opposites. Totally opposite people. My father comes from the south of the island. My mother comes from the north of the island. So it's fascinating as an adult now, and a mother of a 28-year-old, and a grandmother, for me to say, wow, I was in all of that.
Yeah.
And so I had all kinds of ideas about how the world was supposed to work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I hold on to some of those traditions because they serve me well.
Yeah.
And some of them, they're almost automatic, and some of them I'm aware that I don't want to practice.
Yeah.
Before we leave, can you tell me what is the bookmark right now for you in your life? What's the place that you go, I never want to forget this? Through your illness, the one thing that you went and you grabbed and you said, you know what, this thing specifically. You do a great job of talking about the journey, but one thing that you go, this is part of my bookmark, or this is my bookmark.
I never want to forget the people who are suffering. Like, as my life starts to get better, I think there's a risk of getting comfortable, and I don't want to do that. Every day I want to work as hard as I can to give as much as I can while I'm here. So that's what I don't want to ever forget. I
cannot thank you enough. I know that I've invited you to go to workshops with me and do that, so I hope you will do that.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Please give a hug to your family and your lovely wife.
Thank
them for helping you get here and for loving you, because the more love you get, the more love you can give us. For you at home, I encourage you, please pick up this book. It doesn't have anything to do with Jeshua Alexandar and all his ego. It has to do with me finding a tool that I think is very helpful, and that I now invite people to purchase, because it will be part of your library. And you can always check him out on his website. Check out my page, and you will find him as well. God bless you. Hold on tight to one another, and remember, there is tomorrow. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liddy. Appreciate it.
Raise your hand if you've ever been bullied. Come on. We've all been called a name. It sucks, doesn't it? We're After Romeo, and we're proud to support Defeat the Label and empowering youth to take a stand against bullying in their schools and communities.
Everyone at some point in their lives has been bullied, whether it be through joking around with friends or intentionally trying to harm someone.
In high school, I was the quarterback of the team and in choir, so you can only imagine what I was hearing from my teammates, but you gotta go for it.
We need a safe environment, one that empowers all of us to stand up for what is right and enables us to succeed.
Did you know 160,000 students miss school each day because they're bullied? That's enough to fill the Staples Center 8 times.
So After Romeo is here with Defeat the Label to encourage all of our Romeos and Juliets to take a stand against bullying.
We are honored to join forces with Defeat the Label to spread the word.
We need your help, so join us in taking a stand against bullying, and together we can all be bully-proof.
For more information, visit defeatthelabel.com
or AfterRomeoWorld.com.
Stand up and start a movement. stand up for a cure, a chance, a change. Stand up to know and say yes.
Gonna rise up, find my direction magnetically. Gonna rise up, throw down my ace in the hole.
This is where the end of cancer begins. Stand up with all of us. Stand up. Stand up to cancer.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of greatness. Research has shown that playing an instrument can stimulate your brain and increase your memory. Playing an instrument requires reading and counting notes and rhythms, which can lead to a huge increase in your mathematical skills. You want to talk about discipline? The best musicians in the world are masters of discipline. If music is this good for us, then why are schools across America dropping it from their curriculum? You can help save the music. You can help. Just go to www.savethemusic.org. Save the music. Keeping America great.
Mate, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought there was time.
He's just pulled out. I don't have time to stop.
Well, come on, mate. It was a simple mistake.
I don't know if I was going a bit slower. But...
Please. I've got my boy in the back.
I'm going too fast. I'm sorry.
Opportunities present themselves every day. Opportunities that move us forward. Opportunities to serve part-time in your community. While continuing full-time careers or education. To help keep our nation safe at home and around the globe. Explore your opportunities in the Air Force Reserve.